Good things come in small packages. Never has this been more true than the small heroes we help on their epic quests. Video game characters come in all shapes and sizes, and the ones that stand against obstacles that tower above their small stature make us really see the world in a whole new light. To us, a walk in the park can be just that, but to these little adventurers it can be a whole new experience with its own wonders and dangers. So let's give credit to the little guy and showcase some of these half-pint heroes in our top 10 smallest characters in video games. Here are some rules before we get started. Number 1, the character must be small enough to fit in the palm of your hand. Number 2, the characters that can shrink themselves also count, but it must be their main ability. Number 3, this isn't a list of largest to smallest, but a list of awesome characters that meet our height requirement. Number 4, this is my own opinion, so your list may differ from mine. And lastly, I must mention I'm only human, so if I do miss something, feel free to leave it in the comments. With that wrapped up, it's time we set our sights a little lower to the ground and start the list. Ever think, man, my place is a mess, but I just don't have the will to deal with this, and also my daughter is a frog? Well, why not pick up a Chibi Robo? This little guy will run around your house and clean up all the garbage you were too lazy to pick up, while also fixing your relationship problems with your family. But real talk guys, this guy is adorable, and if you thought his appearance wasn't cute enough, then you'll be glad to hear that he does all this for happy points. But seriously, being this small just trying to navigate a house at his size is an adventure in itself, so try it out, I'm sure you'll fall in love. A lot can be said without words, and to tell a whole story while also embarking on a journey so breathtaking and stunning, but could easily take place within the span of 5 miles is a feat unto its own. And that is what our number 9 did. Say hello to Yarny. This little fellow is the main character of a soon-to-be released game called Unravel, and just looking at this gameplay you can see it's not just about the destination, it's about getting there. Unravel is a tale of love and mending broken bonds, and Yarny is the one that ties them all together. Soon we'll explore a world we see every day, but through the eyes of something so small and fragile, but so full of courage, as we mend together a story of love. I would put this game much higher on the list, but due to the fact it's not out yet, I'll leave it here, but that may change after I play the game on its release, which I will also be streaming. So does it deserve a higher spot? Stop by our Twitch on February 9th to find out if it does. Hey, Donkey Kong 64! I love this game! So many places to explore, so many things to collect, accompanied by an abundance of potassium. That's in bananas if you didn't know. Anyways, putting fruit aside, we need to get into this tiny hole, so who better to call than Tiny Kong? This little monkey is full of attitude, because back in the 90s, attitude made you cool. So using Tiny Kong, we can shrink down using her crystal coconut powers, and reach areas the other Kongs can't. Now I know what you're thinking, this isn't the only skill Tiny has, but it is her main focus considering her name is Tiny, and also has a whole island dedicated to her ability to shrink and speak to the banana fairies. Wow, when you say it out loud, Rare was tripping on some really strong stuff when they came up with this. Regardless of what they were snorting, Tiny is awesome and takes our number 8 spot. Well, it's about that time again. It's time to head back to the world of Hyrule, but this time we'll be seeing it from more of an up-close perspective. And if you haven't guessed what I'm talking about yet, let me introduce to you the hero of the Minish, and his lovable sidekick, Ezlo. This entry of the Zelda series revolves entirely around the ability to shrink yourself down to the size of the Minish, which are roughly the size of a clover. And in doing so, monsters that would normally pose no real threat transform into dungeon bosses towering over our little hero. Said to be one of the more weaker titles in the series, it's still interesting to see how developers make what we overlook every day and create these invisible worlds below our feet. Still a fun game, so I would definitely recommend you check it out. Now, before we leave the land of Hyrule, there's still one character that needs to be mentioned, and although we may find her annoying at times, she is just as much part of our quest. Of course, I'm referring to our loyal fairy, Navi. Now, if you're like me, yes, you agree the constant attention she demands can be rather annoying, but Navi will always have a special place in my memories, from when I first played Ocarina of Time. She was your companion on this massive epic that took you through dangerous lands, hostile dungeons, and when it came time to face off against Ganon, she stayed at your side. So, hey, listen, Navi, couldn't have done it without you. So if you were to shrink down, what would you do? Explore the world? Discover a new outlook on something that's always been there? Or if you're like our little friend Olimar here, you monopolize it and enslave a native species to do all the work for you. Sounds pretty messed up, but just look at how cute they are doing my manual labor! Once you get past the whole slave driver mentality, the game actually presents this small alien world very well. Everything is portioned to make Olimar and the Pikmin look and feel small, but once they get together as a mob, there's no stopping them. It only goes to show strength in numbers can be the greatest advantage. The characters we've looked at thus far have accomplished some pretty amazing feats given their size, but no character can amount to the scale our next character has met. Meet the Prince, from the strange but unarguably joyous Katamari Damacy. In this game, it's your job to collect the excess amount of clutter on Earth by rolling it up into a giant ball of junk, which is then made into a planet. A pretty far-fetched idea, but it never stopped me from having an amazing time. And to think after all this, we need to remember the one rolling the ball only stands at 5 centimeters tall, with a voice so small it can't be heard. Talk about large aspirations. Now, if you didn't know already, Okami is one of my favorite games I've ever played. The scenery was so beautiful and rich with color and accompanied with a truly unforgettable soundtrack. It felt like I was exploring a work of art rather than a game. But that doesn't mean the story wasn't just as good. We take control of Amaterasu and our man of the hour, Isun, a small traveling artist about the size of a bug, but make sure you don't call him that. Now, like Navi, he becomes pretty annoying at times, but he does play a huge role in the game as Amaterasu's guide and voice when she interacts with the townsfolk. As a companion, Isun has also shown for such a small being he exhibits an immense amount of courage. Either way, Isun, although forgettable at times, was another huge factor into making Okami the downright masterpiece it is. Let's get right into it. Little Big Planet is amazing. So much thought went into making this unforgettable world, both literally and figuratively. And who better to traverse this plane of creativity than the adorable Sackboy? Let me start off by saying this little guy is a little more special than the others, in which I mean to say he's the only one that you can fully customize to create your own unique Sack person. And that is a huge plus, especially for me. But it doesn't stop at just Sackboy, but all the Little Big Planet characters are just amazing and colorful. I wish I could put them all on this list, but just mentioning them here, I feel it does them justice. Sackboy or Sackgirl, you cannot deny how perfect these little characters fit into a world of imagination. Before we reveal our number 1, let's go over some honorable mentions. The light of the forest is fading, and life is struggling to survive. Darkness has spread its thorns deep into the woods. Hope as we know it is dim. But it isn't gone. Light will always return. Ori is that light, and it's our job to spread it. This is Ori in the Blind Forest, a 2D side-scrolling platformer that puts you in a dying forest with the task of reviving it by locating 3 elements and restoring the spirit tree. First thing I want to mention is how amazing this game looks. Ori's design fits perfectly into the atmosphere of the game and what it's trying to portray and how the game feels overall. This game is insane at times. At one point you'll be escaping from certain death and then stop shortly after the heart-pounding event to look at your surroundings and absorb how stunning it is. But let's not forget the star of this epic tale, and that's Ori. Without saying a word, you feel the sadness of loss. You experience the joy of being loved, and you understand why you must take up this quest. All while playing as a creature no bigger than the palm of your hand. That's why Ori of the Blind Forest is our number 1 smallest character in video games. Thanks for watching Dream Bridge Top 10. We hope you liked it. Be sure to subscribe so you know when we'll be releasing a new video. Also, I'd like to remind you that on February 9th, we'll be streaming Unravel on our Twitch channel, so don't forget to follow us. Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you there.